It's 2 a.m., and your dog will not stop coughing. You know the sound, a dry, honking hack that comes out of nowhere, like a goose got loose in your bedroom, and it ends with a gag, as if something is stuck back there that never comes up. You lie in the dark and count the seconds until the next one. It doesn't come every few minutes. It comes in fits, worse when the dog gets up, worse when it pulls against the collar, worse the second it gets excited to see you. Here's the tell most people miss. That cough is dry. It isn't wet, it isn't productive, nothing is coming up but maybe a little white foam at the end. That dry, honking pattern points straight at the windpipe, not the lungs, and it usually means something far less scary than it sounds at 2 a.m. So what do most people do? They panic and book the first appointment they can get. Antibiotics, they figure. That's what the neighbor said. That's what someone at the front desk mentioned once. But that's a half-remembered reflex, not real knowledge. Here's what it costs you. An exam fee that often runs $60 to $120 before a single thing gets prescribed. And here's the part nobody tells you. This kind of cough is usually viral. Antibiotics do nothing against a virus. You can pay for the visit and the pills and still be up the next night, listening to the same hack. There's something already sitting in most kitchens that I reach for first with a cough like this. Under $8. It works on the same mechanism that landed honey in a major medical journal for human coughs. I've spent decades in a Portland exam room, and the coughing dog call is one of the most common ones I get. An old mentor of mine used to say the cheapest thing on the shelf is usually the first thing worth trying. Soothe the throat before you medicate the whole animal. So here's what you're getting. 1 remedy, 3 things to check before you use it, and 4 red flags that mean skip it and call me. The real lesson isn't the honey. It's learning to tell the cough that needs a prescription from the one that just needs time. Let me tell you what's actually going on in that throat first. It takes a minute, and once you understand it, everything else I tell you makes plain sense. That cough usually comes from something called kennel cough. The clinical name is canine infectious tracheobronchitis, but you don't need to remember that. What matters is where your dog caught it and what it's doing. Dogs pick it up from other dogs. The dog park, daycare, the boarding kennel, the groomer, a friend's dog at a barbecue. It shows up about 5 to 10 days after that contact. So by the time you hear the cough, you've usually forgotten the exposure. It's caused by a mix of viruses and bacteria, often more than one at the same time. And here's the part that matters most for what you do next. It is usually viral. That's exactly why antibiotics are only worth reaching for when there's real evidence of a bacterial infection, which most cases don't have. So, the thing you're actually fighting is the cough itself. The windpipe gets inflamed and raw. Every cough scrapes that raw lining a little more, which makes it want to cough again, round and round. Break that loop, give the throat some relief, and the dog finally rests. Rest is what most of these cases need to heal on their own. Now the remedy. It's honey, plain honey, raw and unpasteurized if you can get it, though I'll come back to why that matters. A jar runs a few dollars and lasts you months. That's the whole thing everyone's whispering about. Here's why it works, and works fast. 2 real reasons, not folklore. The first is the coating. Honey is thick and sticky, and when it goes down, it physically coats that inflamed throat lining. It settles the nerve endings that keep firing the cough reflex. That's the main event for throat symptoms, and it's why the relief comes quickly. You're putting a soft blanket over the raw spot. The second reason is what honey does to bacteria. Its sugar is so concentrated that it pulls water right out of bacterial cells and dries them out. Its natural acidity, a pH somewhere between 3 and 4.5, makes a place where a lot of germs simply can't get comfortable. And when honey meets a little moisture, an enzyme in it releases small, steady amounts of hydrogen peroxide. Slow and gentle, not the sting of the brown bottle in your medicine cabinet. Those mechanisms are spelled out in peer-reviewed studies. This isn't a country rumor. Here's the evidence I actually lean on. In 2020, a review in BMJ Evidence-Based Medicine pulled together 14 studies and found honey beat the usual care for upper respiratory symptoms, including how often people coughed and how bad it was. The authors went so far as to suggest it as an alternative to antibiotics for the simple, uncomplicated cases. That's human research, I'll be straight with you. But the throat-soothing part carries right over to your dog, and it's why that dry, honking cough eases up. Now let me be honest about what honey does and doesn't do, because I owe you that. Honey soothes. It buys comfort and it buys rest. It does not kill the virus, and it does not cure the infection. The illness still runs its course, usually 1 to 3 weeks. What you're doing is making your dog comfortable enough to get through it without misery. That's the honest scope. Don't let anyone sell you more than that. Here's how to give it. Match the amount to the size of your dog. A small dog gets about half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. A big dog can take up to a tablespoon, 2 or 3 times a day. You can let them lick it right off the spoon. Most dogs are thrilled to. You can drizzle it over their food, or you can stir it into a little warm water and let them lap it up. One thing on that water, keep it warm, never hot. The good enzymes in honey start to break down above about 104 degrees. Hot tea water cooks the very thing you want. Warm, not steaming. And that's also why raw, unpasteurized honey is better if you can get it. The heavy heat of commercial pasteurization strips out most of that hydrogen peroxide activity. The cheaper Squeeze Bear works in a pinch for the coating effect, but raw gives you the whole toolkit. Now, before you reach for that jar, 3 things to check. This is where people get in trouble. First, no puppies under a year old. Honey can carry spores that a young pup's system isn't ready to handle, and their immune defenses are still half built. For a puppy that's coughing, you skip the honey and you call your vet. Full stop. Second, no diabetic dogs and no seriously overweight dogs without your vet's blessing. Honey is basically concentrated sugar. For those dogs, that's a real problem, and a spoonful of relief isn't worth a blood sugar mess. Third, give it gently and don't force it. There's a real report out there of a dog given a big spoon of straight honey who then coughed up blood. Now that blood was the alarm, not the honey doing damage. But it's a perfect reminder. Honey is for the mild, ordinary throat. The second you see anything alarming, you stop treating it as ordinary. Which brings me to the 4 red flags. These are your line. Cross any one of them, and you close the honey jar and you get to a vet. 1. Coughing up blood. Any blood, any time. That is never a home remedy situation. 2. Your dog goes quiet and stops eating. A dog that won't eat, won't get up, has gone flat and dull, that dog needs to be seen. Lethargy plus a cough is a different animal than a bright dog with an annoying hack. 3. Trouble breathing, labored breaths, wheezing, or gums that look pale or bluish instead of healthy pink. That points past the windpipe and down into the lungs. 4. A cough that won't quit or keeps getting worse after a week or 2. Most cases are easing off by then. One that's digging in deeper can mean pneumonia, or it can mean the cough was never simple kennel cough at all. Heart disease coughs, heartworm coughs, a collapsing windpipe coughs. Honey touches none of those. 2 more quick things. If you've got a flat-faced breed, a bulldog, a pug, a French bulldog, watch them closer. Their airways are already tight, so the same cough hits them harder and turns serious faster. And when you do head to the vet, take a video of the cough on your phone. Dogs are famous for going silent the moment they walk into my exam room. And that video tells me in 5 seconds what I might wait 20 minutes to hear. While the honey does its work, stack the deck. Run a humidifier where the dog sleeps, or bring them into the bathroom while you run a hot shower and let the steam loosen things up. Switch from a collar to a harness so nothing presses on that sore windpipe, and keep things calm. Less excitement, less barking, more rest. That's the whole job. Soothe the throat, protect the windpipe, let the body heal. So here's the truth I want you to walk away with. A simple cough usually needs a soothed throat and a little time, not a rushed prescription. Now you can tell the difference. Honey is your cheap first step for the mild case. The red flags are your line for when cheap and simple isn't enough. Trust both. If this helped you understand what your dog actually needs tonight, subscribe. Every week I break down the plain, science-backed things that keep your dog healthy and keep you out of my exam room for the small stuff. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next